What was your involvement today?
Well, we were involved in the large group discussion, all the competition committee issues, rule changes, equipment, things like that. So it was a good meeting. This is the start. We'll have a competition committee meeting during the Stanley Cup Finals, as we do a yearly event, and then any rule changes will be put to the Board of Governors after that.
What rule changes were specifically talked about?
We didn't really talk about rule changes this year. I think you know, the usual things have come up. Goalie equipment is always one. Icing is another one. And then there are just some smaller things, ideas on face-offs, trying to keep the integrity of face-offs. Those are a few of the main ones, I would say.
Is there any? Do you see any sort of common ground where everybody can agree on a standard size for goaltending equipment?
You know, I think so. There's going to be a lot more debate, I think, before anything is done. But you know, I think the first thing is you want to make sure that the goalies are safe. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you want to look at is you know, how does the goalie size change the way the game is played? And I think we had a lot of good debate on that.
Is there any change in attitude about visors and the cut-resistant socks?
Well, you know, I think by the sheer numbers of players wearing them, you've seen a big change in visors, and that's going to be something that we're going to be talking to the players about certainly this year. You know, I'm certainly an advocate and a bit of a hypocrite myself because I played my entire career without one. But you know, the game's extremely fast. Guys come into the league now having had to wear a visor before, and we're definitely going to look at talking to the guys about grandfathering them in.
What about the hybrid icing? What's the position?
You know, it's been something that the players haven't had an appetite for the last couple of years. The GMs are, I think there's more in favor of going in the hybrid, but there's still a split, and it's something that'll continue to be debated. You know, I think there's pros and cons. There's a little bit more subjectivity to the hybrid icing, but you know, these are very difficult things when you're trying to change. You want to avoid the unintended consequences of what may happen when you change a rule like that.
What would be the process for the union to formally support grandfathering visors?
Well, we'd probably do some type of poll. The last poll that we did, I think, was in 2009, and it was heavily in favor of not grandfathering them in. You know, I think. You know, obviously a lot of time has passed, a couple more injuries, but there are a lot more players that are wearing them in today's league.
Is it 72%?
It's, yeah, 72, 73, I think is the number now.
So you talk to the guys, and if there's support within the union, then the union would officially, then it'll go to the competition committee.
Exactly, exactly.
Matthew, in terms of the goal scoring, with talking about the goaltender equipment, is it more a concern about pucks not going in the net as much as you'd like, or is it actually creating offensive chances?
Well, you know, something that we've talked about in the past is if the equipment makes the player better. You know, I think players should have to rely on their own athletic ability. If the equipment's there that makes them a better player, gives them an advantage, cheating in a sense, then you know, that's what we want to get rid of. You know, I think the other concern is that you see a lot of pucks going high now. Defensemen, especially, shoot high from the point, and it creates another danger. Obviously, and that was something with the Stahl injury that we saw, but an awful lot more pucks are going high because you just can't score on the ice anymore.
What's been said about blocked shots and players getting injured because of blocking shots? Or happening to be in the wrong place? It
wasn't really discussed today. There was an awful lot on the agenda in a short period of time that wasn't really discussed today.
Anything about getting rid of the trapezoid?
No, that wasn't discussed today either.
What about embellishment on somebody who sits from behind?
Briefly today, you know, it's come up in previous meetings the last couple of years, and I'm sure that's going to be a topic discussed in the future. But it was very brief today.
From the player's perspective, how would you address something like that?
Well, I know in the summit that we had here during the lockout, there were a number of players that were in favor of putting the list back up in the dressing room, and there's complicated issues on both sides there. I know Colin's talked about GMs and coaches complaining an awful lot about those lists and the fines and things like that. So it's a difficult issue, but I think it's certainly something that's going to keep resurfacing over the next few meetings.
Has anything to say on the coach's challenge that can be?
That was something I think that they discussed for a period of time. There wasn't a ton of traction, but it's going to be discussed. Not so much the coach's challenge, but what can be reviewed here in Toronto.
Anything on fighting at all, or stage fighting?
No, there wasn't.
Matthew, are there some things that you as the union would like to bring up, or you were just there as observing and
No,
going back and forth?
today was really more observing. You know, competition committee is when we really put forth a lot of our ideas. Going forward, we're going to have a competition committee meeting at the All-Star game, I think, which is going to be real helpful to put together ideas going into the general manager's meeting. Obviously, with the shortened season, we couldn't do that this year.
Are there some things that seem to be important for you as changes that could come implied next season?
You know, everything that we feel we would like to put forward, we've put forward in the last competition committee meeting and in the summit that we had here, again during the lockout. And I imagine there's a couple that we'll want to raise in the competition committee comes, but that's something that the committee members at the time will make the decision on.
Doesn't the competition committee usually put forth a bunch of recommendations for these meetings? Usually, like in a regular
one
year?
of the things that we were able to correct was the order in which these meetings happen. So the All-Star Game meetings are going to end up putting some of the ideas into the general managers meetings. Then from the general managers meetings, we'll have a full competition committee meeting, which happens in the Stanley Cup Finals, and then it'll go to the Board of Governors from there.
Will you have your contingent in place by the Stanley Cup Final? Because I mean, I think back is.
We will, and there's there's a challenge because we have guys that are playing during that time. So guys that were just knocked out, things like that. So it's probably going to be more fluid. But we definitely have a good sense of what a majority of the guys feel going into those meetings.
How many guys are locked in right now in the competition? Is there?
We're going to start from scratch. You know, we've had a lot of interest, so you know, the guys that have been there in the past have had really good experiences. David Backus, Mike Camilleri. You know. Obviously, those guys, if they want to remain on, will have the opportunity to. But there have been a lot of guys that have expressed interest coming.
How many spots do you have?
Five.
Five. And right now, Backus is the only one that's still sort of active on it, right?
Yeah.
So there's sorry, just to be right, there's 5 players.
5 players, 5. Either they can put forward 5, whether it's general managers, board of governors, exactly.
But it's just 5 and 5.
Right.
Who's on it from there? Do you know who's on it from their side?
I know Stevie Eiserman was on it previously. Joe Neuendijk, Ed Schneider. I'm trying to think who was there. Jimmy Rutherford. But theirs has been. Brian Burke was there the last one as well. David Poyle. Yeah. So they've had people in and out as well.
Matthew, when you started, you talked a little bit about the integrity of the face-offs. What are the issues you see?
Well, I think it's just the cheating, you know, really, essentially, and then used as a tactic for delay. Guys going to get kicked out, get the first one to buy some time. There are a couple different issues on it, but I think they want to bring back the integrity of the face-off and try to take away as much of the cheating as possible.
Did the shortened season affect how much maybe got done at these meetings or how much was discussed compared to the past?
I haven't been to other GM meetings, so I can't tell you, but I imagine it has.
Sounds like they talked a little bit about a lot of things, but not, like, they don't really seem to have tackled any issue. Is that fair to say?
I don't think so. You know, I mean, there's so many issues that you can debate to nauseum that you go through, and They go through it here at the GM's meetings. We go through it at the competition committee meetings. We go through it with our team meetings. And you know, it's you have. I mean, for us, we have 700 members, so we have a lot of different opinions, and sometimes it's very difficult to get consensus. But I thought overall it was a good meeting, and you know, not everybody gets to raise what their important topics are. It seems to be whatever the hot button issues are, and you know, I think we got a pretty good product on the ice. At the end of the day, you don't want to make changes and have unintended consequences, and I think we've learned lessons from that in the past. So, thank you guys.